It is late, maybe very late, and you are still awake, not because you chose to be, not because something exciting is keeping you up, but because there is something inside you, something that has no name, something that has no easy explanation, and it will not let you sleep. You are not scrolling to be entertained. You are not looking for something to laugh at. You are searching for something that sees you, for something that says, I know what you are carrying. I know how long you have been carrying it, and the phone is face down on the pillow beside you, because you made a decision, probably a long time ago, that you are not going to post about this. You are not going to broadcast this. You are not going to make your pain into content for people to consume. There is something in you that said, bear this quietly. You do not even fully understand why. You just knew this was not meant to be performed. This was meant to be endured quietly, in the hidden place where only God can see. Chosen one. I want you to think about something. Think about all the moments you chose not to say anything. All the times you typed something out and then deleted it. All the conversations you started in your head and then decided against. All the times someone asked you, how are you doing? And you said, fine. Because what you were actually carrying could not fit into a casual conversation, because the people asking were not really asking. They were exchanging pleasantries, not opening a space for truth. So you smiled, and you carried it quietly. Again, I want you to understand something about that choice, that quiet choice, the one you make over and over again, the one no one celebrates, the one no one even sees. That choice is one of the most powerful things a human being can do. The world tells us that the ones who shout are the ones who matter, the ones who post, the ones who perform their pain for public validation. But there is a different kind of person, a rarer kind, the kind who carries something in silence, not because they are weak, but because they understand, somewhere deep inside, that some things are too holy for noise. You are that kind, chosen one. You have always been that kind. There was a man, a brilliant Oxford scholar, a writer, a philosopher, a man who spent his life thinking more carefully about faith and suffering than almost anyone who has ever lived. His name was C.S. Lewis. And when his wife died, when the woman he had finally allowed himself to love was taken from him far too soon, he did not pretend it was fine. He did not perform his grief for an audience. He sat with it. He wrote about it in raw, unfiltered honesty. He called it A Grief Observed. And in another book, The Problem of Pain, he wrote something that I need you to hear. He wrote, God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our conscience, but shouts in our pains. Read that again. God whispers in your pleasures. He speaks in your conscience, but he shouts in your pains. Chosen one, the pain you are carrying right now, the silent weight, the thing that keeps you awake, the thing you chose not to post about, that is not silence from God. That is the loudest thing he has ever said to you. He is not absent in the quiet. He is not distant in the pain. He is shouting, and you, the one who chose to endure quietly, you are the one positioned to actually hear him. Here is a question I want you to sit with. What if the world has had it completely backwards? What if the culture that celebrates the loudest voices, the most viral posts, the most publicly processed pain? What if that culture is actually producing the shallowest people? And what if the ones who endure quietly, the ones who press through without applause, the ones who stay faithful when no one is watching, what if those are the ones being built into something that cannot be shaken? We celebrate speed. We celebrate volume. We celebrate the person who bounces back fast, who seems to have it all together, who posts the inspiring caption by Tuesday, after falling apart on Monday. But God does not celebrate that. God is not impressed by the performance of recovery. God is drawn to the one who quietly keeps going, keeps trusting, keeps showing up, keeps enduring, without needing anyone to validate how hard it is. Chosen one, you have been doing that, maybe for longer than you even want to admit. And I need you to understand that quiet endurance you have been living is not your weakness. It is the making of your unshakability. Before we go any further, I need you to do something, not for the algorithm, not for the numbers, but for you and for heaven. Because here is what I believe. When a chosen one makes a declaration, even a small one, even just a few typed words, something is registered in the spiritual realm. Something is acknowledged. Something is witnessed. So, if you have been carrying something quietly, if you have been enduring without complaint, without applause, without anyone truly knowing the cost, type these 3 words in the comments below. I have been quiet, not to tell the world, not to perform your faithfulness, but to declare it to heaven, to say, I have been here, I have been faithful, I have not given up, even in the silence, even in the waiting, even when no one knew. Type it now, chosen one. I have been quiet, because heaven already knows. But there is something sacred about saying it out loud. There is something that shifts inside you and around you when the quiet endurer finally names what they have done. You have been quiet for a long time, and I want to spend the rest of this time with you today, telling you exactly what that quiet has been building inside you. Because what God builds in the silence is unlike anything the noise could ever produce. Let me tell you what quiet endurance actually costs, because most people have no idea. They see you functioning, they see you showing up, they see you smiling, responding to emails, making small talk in the hallway, doing the ordinary things that ordinary days require, and they think you are fine. They have no idea. They do not see what it costs you to produce that smile. They do not see the calculation you make every single morning when you decide, again, to get out of bed, to keep going, to not let the weight show. They do not know how many seconds it takes before you can trust your voice to sound normal on a phone call. They do not know that sometimes you have to sit in the car for 5 minutes before you walk into a building just to compose yourself, to assemble the version of you that the world is allowed to see. Chosen one, that is not small. That is one of the most demanding things a human being can do. And the world will never give you a trophy for it. No one is going to stand up and applaud you for quietly functioning while carrying something that would break most people. But I need you to hear this. What you are doing is extraordinary, not because it looks extraordinary, but because it costs what extraordinary things cost, and you are paying it quietly. Every single day. Have you ever been in a room or on your phone, scrolling through someone else's news, and you watch someone else receive the very thing you have been quietly believing God for? The announcement, the promotion, the relationship, the breakthrough, the season you've been waiting for, arriving at someone else's door, and you smile. Maybe you even typed congratulations. Maybe you even meant it. But underneath, in the part of you that only God can see, there was an ache. Not bitterness, not jealousy, not the ugly kind, just an honest ache. The quiet question, when? Not why them. You are genuinely glad for them. Just when? Chosen one. God knows that question. He has heard you ask it. In the silence of the car, in the shower, in the half prayers you pray, when you are too tired to find the right words. He has heard every version of that quiet question, and He has not ignored it. He is answering it. But the answer requires something that the world cannot manufacture. It requires time, and it requires the kind of character that is only built in the quiet. There is a woman in Scripture whose story I want you to walk through. Her name was Naomi, and she lost everything. Not quickly, not cleanly, not in a way that made sense. First her husband, then one son, then the other. She was left with nothing but 2 foreign daughters-in-law and the long road home to a place she had left in better days. And when she arrived home, when the women of her hometown came out to meet her, saying, "Is this Naomi?" she said, "Do not call me Naomi, call me Mara, because the Almighty has dealt very bitterly with me." She did not pretend it was fine. She named the bitterness. She did not perform peace. She did not feel. But she also did not stop. She kept walking. She kept breathing. She kept placing one foot in front of the other in a season that had stripped her of almost everything, quietly, without fanfare, without an audience. And it was in that quiet faithfulness, that stubborn, unglamorous, unspectacular decision to keep going, that God was weaving the story that would change her family's legacy forever. Ruth would glean the fields. Boaz would notice. A lineage would be restored, and from that lineage, a king would come, chosen one. Naomi did not know that. She was just trying to survive Tuesday. She was just quietly enduring a loss she could not explain, not knowing that God was writing the most important chapter of her story. In the very season, she thought the story was over. C.S. Lewis wrote something in a letter to his dear friend Arthur Greeves that I have returned to again and again. He said, "The great thing, if one can, is to stop regarding all the unpleasant things as interruptions of one's own or real life. The truth is, of course, that what one calls the interruptions are precisely one's real life. Let that breathe for a moment. What you have been calling the interruption, the waiting, the delay, the season you did not plan for, the years that feel like a parenthesis, Lewis is saying that is not the interruption of your life. That is your life. The real work is happening in what you thought was the detour. The real formation is happening in what you thought was the waiting room. The quiet suffering is not a pause before your story begins. It is your story, and God is not wasting a single page of it, not a single sleepless night, not a single quiet tear, not a single moment of smiling when it cost you everything to do it. All of it, every moment you labeled as interruption, is the substance of what God is building. I want to honor something before we move forward. The weight of carrying something unspoken, day after day, week after week, month after month, is a specific kind of heavy. It is not the heavy of crisis. Crisis is sharp. Crisis gets attention. Crisis gets casseroles brought to your door. This is different. This is the low, sustained weight of something that never quite leaves. The thing you wake up with, the thing that sits beside you at the dinner table, the thing that finds you in the middle of an ordinary afternoon when you had almost forgotten it was there. And then it is there, quietly, again, chosen one. I see that weight, and more importantly, God sees it. Every day you have carried it without collapsing. He has seen it. Every morning you chose to keep going. He has recorded it. You are not invisible. You are not forgotten. You are not being overlooked. You are being watched by the one whose watching matters most, and what he sees in you is someone being built into something the world has not yet seen the full version of. The quiet endurance is not the end of the story. It is the making of it. I need to tell you something that changes everything about the season you are in. What is happening to you right now? The quiet endurance, the weight you are carrying, the slow, unglamorous faithfulness is not just survival, it is construction. You have been thinking of this season as something to get through, something to survive, something on the other side of which your real life begins. But that is not what God is doing. God is not waiting for this season to end so He can finally start working on you. He is working on you right now. In this, through this, and what He is building is not decoration. It is not something fragile that breaks the first time it is tested. What God builds through quiet endurance is architecture, load-bearing, is structural, permanent, the kind of inner formation that cannot be purchased, cannot be downloaded, cannot be fast-tracked, and cannot be taken. The Apostle Paul, who knew suffering more intimately than most of us will ever be asked to, wrote something in his letter to the Romans that reads like a divine formula. He said, "We also glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance, character, and character, hope." Read that as a production chain. Suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance produces character. Character produces hope. This is not random. This is not chaos. This is a specific, intentional manufacturing process. And notice what is at the beginning: suffering. Not comfort, not ease. Not a life where everything went according to plan. Suffering, which means the season you are in, the season that has been hard, the season that has felt like too much, is the raw material, the input, the beginning of something, the output of which is character and hope so deep that nothing can touch it. Chosen one, you are not behind, you are not stuck. You are in the middle of a production chain that God Himself designed. And the product at the end, the character, the unshakable hope, is being made from exactly what you are going through right now. See, S. Lewis wrote in The Problem of Pain, the same book where he wrestled most honestly with why God allows suffering. He wrote, "God, who foresaw your tribulation, has specially armed you to go through it, not without pain, but without stain." Sit with that for a moment. God foresaw your tribulation. This was not a surprise to Him. This season you are in, the specific weight of it, the specific duration of it, the specific kind of quiet it requires. God saw it before you were born, and He specifically armed you for it, not someone else. You, which means your capacity to endure this quietly, your ability to keep going when most would stop, your choice to stay faithful when no one would blame you for walking away. That capacity was built into you on purpose. You were not dropped into a situation you are not equipped for. You were placed in a specific crucible that required a specific kind of strength, and God made sure you had it before you ever arrived here. The quiet endurance you have been living is not accidental. It is the activation of a specific armor that God fitted you with long before this season began. Lewis said something else in a different context, but it has never left me. He said, and I am paraphrasing from his writing, "It may be hard for an egg to turn into a bird. It would be a far harder thing to ask the egg to learn to fly. While remaining an egg, the shell must break, the form must change. Something must die before something else can live." Chosen one, the quiet endurance you have been living is the breaking of the shell. It does not feel like preparation for flight. It feels like being cracked open. It feels like loss. It feels like reduction. It feels like something is being taken that you are not sure will be returned. But the egg does not understand what it is becoming. The egg only knows the darkness of the shell, the pressure of the cracking, the disorientation of a world it was not designed to see yet. and then flight. The quiet season you are in is not the end of what you are. It is the breaking open of a form too small for what you are becoming. But here is what most chosen ones do not realize about what they are becoming. They do not realize it because they are measuring by the wrong standard. They are measuring by what is visible, by what has changed on the outside, by what people can see. And from the outside, nothing looks different yet. The circumstances have not shifted. The breakthrough has not arrived. The door has not opened. So they assume nothing is happening. But the oak tree does not look different. While its roots are going deeper, the gold does not look refined. While it is still in the fire, the person being made unshakable does not look like they are becoming unshakable. They look like they are enduring something quietly, and they are. But the endurance is the process, not the delay, not the punishment, the process. I want you to do something right now, not because it will impress anyone, not because it will change your circumstances in this moment, but because declaration matters, because when a chosen one names what God is doing, even when they cannot fully feel it, even when they cannot fully see it, something shifts. In the spiritual realm, something is agreed with, something is partnered with, something is activated. So right now, if something in you recognizes that the season you are in is not wasted, if something in you believes, even by a thread, that you are not being broken, but built, type these words in the comments below. I am being built. Not I was built. Not I will be built someday. I am. Right now, in this moment, in this season, being built. Present tense, active. Say it to heaven. I am being built. Because the quiet endurance that no one sees, that no one celebrates, that costs more than most people will ever understand, is producing something inside you that the noise could never manufacture. Something structural, something load-bearing, something permanent. And the world is going to see it. When the season is complete, when the shell finishes breaking, when the roots finally hold, the world is going to see something that makes no sense unless they understand what happened quietly. In the hidden place where God was building all along. Look around at the world. The loudest voices get the most attention. The most dramatic stories get the most shares. The people who publicly process every emotion, who perform every struggle, who narrate every step of their journey in real time, those are the ones the algorithm rewards. And so the quiet ones watch. They watch the noisemakers accumulate followers, applause, recognition, validation, and they wonder in those honest midnight moments, am I doing something wrong? Should I be louder? Should I be more visible? Should I stop enduring quietly and start performing publicly? But here is what the algorithm cannot measure. Here is what the metrics cannot capture: depth. The noisemaker builds fast. Momentum, visibility, reach, assembled quickly, often brilliantly. But what is built fast can come apart fast. The deep-rooter builds slowly, silently, in the hidden places where no camera reaches, no audience validates, no metric can track. But what is built in the deep places stands. When everything else shakes, it stands. In the oldest book of the Bible, a book that predates most of Scripture, there is a man named Job, and what happened to Job was not subtle. In a single day, he lost his livestock, his livelihood, his servants, his children, all of them, gone in a moment. And then, as if that were not enough, his health was taken. His body became a site of unrelenting suffering, and the people around him, the ones who were supposed to be his friends, sat and told him it was his fault, that he must have done something wrong, that this suffering was punishment for secret sin. And Job endured, not perfectly. He argued with God. He demanded answers. He named his pain honestly and loudly. But in the midst of all of it, in the midst of the loss and the sickness and the accusations, it says, in all this, Job did not sin by charging God with wrongdoing. He did not curse God. He did not walk away. He did not perform peace. He did not feel. But he also did not abandon the God he could not understand. He endured, quietly faithful, even in his loudest moments of grief. And the end of Job's story is not just restoration, it is expansion. Everything he lost was returned and multiplied. But more than the material restoration, Job emerged from that season as a man who had encountered God in the whirlwind, a man who had been tested at the deepest possible level and did not break. That is what quiet endurance produces when it is complete. Not just survival, not just return to zero, expansion, encounter, unshakability. There is another man living centuries after Job in a situation just as impossible. His name was Daniel. He had been taken from everything familiar, his country, his culture, his language, all of it stripped away. He was a captive in a foreign empire that wanted to remake him in its own image. And Daniel made a decision, quietly, privately, without a declaration, without an announcement, without an audience. Daniel resolved not to defile himself, not a public protest, not a loud proclamation, just a quiet, private resolve in the hidden place of his own conscience to remain faithful to God, even in the middle of a system designed to make faithfulness inconvenient. No one applauded that decision. No one saw it in the moment it was made. Daniel did not post about it. He did not gather supporters. He did not make noise. He just quietly decided, and that quiet decision, made in private, built something in Daniel that the empire could not touch. They threw him in the lion's den eventually, and the lions did not eat him, because what had been built inside Daniel through years of quiet, private faithfulness was something even hungry lions could not consume. Chosen one, the quiet decisions you are making right now, the ones no one sees, the ones you are not broadcasting, they are building something in you that will survive what is coming. Consider the oak tree. In the winter, it does not look impressive. No leaves, no fruit, no obvious sign of life. Just a bare trunk, bare branches, standing in cold ground that has not warmed yet. To a casual observer, the oak looks dead. But underground, in the cold, dark, invisible soil, the roots are going deeper. Every degree of frost, every inch of winter, every day of bare, unimpressive stillness is driving those roots further down. And when the storm comes, and the storm always comes, the shallow-rooted trees fall first, the ornamental ones, the ones that grew fast, because the conditions were easy. But the oak, the one that looked dead all winter, the one no one was posting about, the one no one was watching, the oak stands, chosen one, this quiet season, this winter that has gone on, longer than you planned, is not killing you. It is driving your roots down to a depth that will make you unshakable when the storm season arrives. And when others fall, and many will, you will stand. Not because you are stronger, but because your roots went deeper. In the quiet, in the cold, in the season no one was watching. I need to say this clearly. You are not becoming someone who survives. You are not becoming someone who copes. You are not becoming someone who gets through, white knuckles it to the other side, and then collapses in relief. You are becoming a pillar Do you know what a pillar does? It does not stand for its own sake. It stands so other things can rest on it. The building needs the pillar. The structure depends on it. Without the pillar, everything falls. Chosen one. The quiet endurance you have been living, the depth being built in you, the character being formed, in the season no one is watching, is not just for you. It is load-bearing. There are people coming into your life who will need to lean on what you are becoming. There are situations ahead that will require someone who cannot be moved. And God is making sure that person is you, not the loudest person in the room, not the most visible, not the one whose journey got the most applause, the quiet one, the one who endured, the one who stayed faithful in the hidden season. You. Here is the final thing I want you to understand. Before we move forward, the noise, the public performance of faith, the viral testimony, the Instagram-worthy breakthrough is not wrong, but it cannot produce what the quiet produces. It cannot manufacture depth. It cannot create roots. It cannot build the kind of character that comes from enduring in the hidden place. The noise produces width, reach, visibility, but the quiet produces weight. And when the storm tests what you are made of, it does not test your width. It tests your weight. It tests whether what is inside you is real enough, deep enough, built enough to hold. Chosen one. What is being built inside you in this quiet season is weight, real, tested, permanent, and what the noise could never manufacture. God has been quietly producing in you all along. I need you to stop for a moment. Not figuratively, literally. Stop. Take a breath. Because what I am about to tell you is not theology. It is not information. It is a word for you. Specifically, right now. God has seen it. Every single quiet moment. He has seen it. Every 3 a.m. He was there. Every morning, you chose to get up again. When staying down would have been easier, He saw it. Every smile that cost you more than anyone around you will ever know. He witnessed it. Every time you chose not to post, not to complain, not to make your pain into performance, He was watching. Every prayer that came out broken, half-formed, more sigh than sentence, He received it. Every tear you wiped away in private, in the car, in the shower, in the bathroom of a party, where you needed a moment before you could go back out and function, He was there, not distant, not distracted, not managing some larger cosmic crisis and fitting you in when He had time. There, present, watching, keeping count. King David, a man who spent years running from people who wanted him dead, years hiding in caves, years enduring what he never asked for, wrote something in Psalm 56 that I want you to hear, as if it were written for you today. He wrote, "You have collected all my tears in your bottle. You have recorded each one in your book. God keeps a bottle, and in that bottle, every tear you have ever cried is there, not spilled, not wasted, not evaporated into the air, as if it never happened. Collected, the tear you cried in the car, on the way to work, when you did not have words, but the grief came anyway. Collected, the tear that fell on the pillow at 2 a.m., when the silence felt more like abandonment than presence. Collected, the tear you almost cried in public and stopped yourself and swallowed it back down. Collected, God has a record, and that record says, this person has been faithful. This person has endured. This person has cried quietly and kept going. Not one tear is missing from the count. Not one quiet night has gone unrecorded. You were never, ever invisible. I want to speak something to you now, not from me, But what I believe God has been wanting to say to you in the quiet for longer than you realize. Chosen one, I have seen you. I know the weight you have been carrying. I know the names of the nights. I know the cost of the smiles. I know what it took to stay faithful when staying faithful made no sense by the world's measure. I know the prayers you stopped in the middle of because the words ran out, and all that was left was the ache. I received every one of them. I know you have wondered if I forgot you. I have not forgotten you. I have been here, closer than the breath in your lungs, more present than the silence around you. What you interpreted as my absence was my nearness. I do not leave when things go quiet. I draw close, and in the quiet, in the long, difficult, unglamorous quiet, I have been building something in you that I cannot build any other way. Something that will last, something that will hold, something that will stand when everything else shakes. You have not been forgotten. You have been fashioned, and I want you to know I am proud of you. Not for what you have produced, not for what you have accomplished, not for how well you have held it together. I'm proud of you for still being here, for still saying yes, even when yes costs everything, for still trusting, even when trusting feels like a risk you can no longer afford. I see you, I know you, and I am not finished with you yet. See, as Lewis, the man who lost his wife, who sat with grief and did not flinch from it, who wrote about faith not from a position of easy answers, but from the honest ache of someone who had genuinely suffered, he left us one sentence that I believe was given to him for moments exactly like this one. He said, "There are far, far better things ahead than any we leave behind. Far, far better. Not slightly better, not marginally improved. Far, far better. Chosen one. The quiet season, the endurance, the hidden faithfulness, the tears that were collected, the roots that went deep, all of it is leading somewhere, not back to where you were, not to a restored version of what used to be, to something that has no comparison to what came before it." Lewis knew this. He had to believe it in the aftermath of his own grief, and he wrote it not as a platitude, but as a testimony. He had seen the far, far better. And what you are enduring quietly right now is the path between where you are and the far, far better that is coming. Do not quit on the path. There is nothing more I need to prove to you right now. No more argument to make, no more scripture to build, no more tension to hold. Just this. You are seen completely, specifically, tenderly. The God who counts the stars by name has counted every quiet moment of your endurance. The God who records the sparrow's fall has recorded every silent night. You chose faithfulness. You are not invisible. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are being built into something the quiet made possible, into something the noise could never produce, into something unshakable. And right now, in this moment, you do not have to do anything except receive that. Let it land. Let the truth of being seen, really seen, completely seen, be enough. For right now, just this. You are seen. You are known. You are loved. And what is being built in you is more than you have yet imagined. Rest in that for a moment. Before we close, just rest in that we are near the end now. And I want to bring you to what I believe is the most important thing you need to hear today. The quiet season. The one you have been in. The one that has cost what it has cost. The one that no one else has fully seen. Has produced something real. Something weight-bearing. Something that does not go away when the season changes. Because that is the nature of what God builds in the hidden place. It does not evaporate. when the sun comes out again. It does not disappear when the circumstances shift. What was built in the quiet stays. The depth of character formed in the silent season stays. The faith that survived what should have broken it stays. The roots that went down in the cold, dark, invisible soil stay. Chosen one. You may not be able to see it yet. You may not feel it yet, but something has been produced in you that was not there before this season. Something solid, something true, something that belongs to you now and cannot be taken away. The prophet Isaiah wrote to a people who were exhausted, a people who had been waiting, a people who had been enduring longer than they thought they could, a people who wondered if their strength would ever come back. And he wrote, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. Those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. Not those who figured everything out, not those who performed their faith perfectly, not those who never doubted, never wavered, never cried in the car. Those who hope that holds on, even when it cannot see clearly. Hope that says, I do not know how, I do not know when, but I believe God is not finished. That hope, chosen one, that is the hope that has kept you going through this quiet season. And Scripture says that hope renews your strength, not once, not as a one-time event, renews. Present tense, continuous. The strength you need for what comes next is being renewed right now. In this moment, as you listen, you are not running on empty. You are being refueled for what is ahead. I want to pray with you right now, not over you, with you. If you are willing, say this with me, in your heart or out loud, if you can. God, I acknowledge what you have been doing in the quiet. I may not have always seen it. I may not have always felt it, but I believe you have been building something in me that I cannot yet fully see. And right now, I declare, what was built in the quiet cannot be taken in the noise. What you formed in the hidden place cannot be destroyed in the public place. The character, the roots, the depth, the unshakable thing you have been constructing in the silent season, it belongs to me, and it will stand. I am not behind. I am not broken. I am not forgotten. I am being made. And what you are making, God, I trust it. Even the parts I do not understand, even the parts that have cost me more than I knew I could pay, I trust the Maker. And I receive what the quiet has produced. Amen. Take a breath. That declaration, even if your voice shook, even if your heart was only halfway there, it was heard, it was received, it was recorded. Beat 4 callback. The 3 a.m. person is now standing. Do you remember how we started? The person at 3 a.m., phone face down, carrying something no one could see. I want you to look at that person for a moment. That person chose to keep going. They did not know what would come next. They did not know how long the season would last. They did not know if the strength would hold, but they made it to today. They are still here, still breathing, still believing, still showing up, even if showing up looks different than it used to. Chosen one, that person is you. And I want you to see yourself the way God sees you right now, not as someone who barely made it, not as someone who survived by the skin of their teeth and is secretly embarrassed. It was so hard. But as someone who endured quietly, faithfully, in the hidden place, where the most important work always happens. You endured, and what the endurance built is now inside you, part of you, woven into who you are. You are not the same person you were when this season started. You are more, you are deeper, you are stronger than you know. You are more unshakable than you have yet been tested to discover. Before we close, one final declaration, not for the world, for you and for heaven. Type these words in the comments. I am unshakable. Not because the circumstances are easy, not because the season is over, not because you have arrived at some finished version of yourself, but because of what was built in the quiet, because of the roots that went deep when no one was watching, because of the character forged in the season that cost what it cost, because of the God who saw every quiet moment and was there for all of it. I am unshakable. Say it to heaven. Type it below. Let it be declared, not as a boast, but as a testimony, because here is the truth. Chosen one, you have already proven it. You have already been tested at a level most people will never understand, and you are still here, still trusting, still going, still saying yes to the God who built you. For this, you are not almost unshakable. You are not becoming unshakable someday. You are unshakable right now, as you are, in the middle of the season, in the quiet, unshakable. I want you to know something. Before you go, you are not alone in this. I know it can feel that way. I know the quiet can feel like isolation, like you are the only one. In this particular kind of waiting, this particular kind of endurance, this particular hidden season that no one fully sees. But right now, in this moment, all over the world, there are people listening to these words who are in the same quiet, carrying something similar, choosing faithfulness in similar silence, pressing forward, without applause, without a clear timeline, without anyone who fully understands what this season has cost. They are in Africa, they are in Asia, they are in small towns and large cities and hospital rooms and kitchen tables at midnight. And they are listening right now, just like you are, choosing to believe that the quiet endurance means something, that God sees, that it is building something, that they are not forgotten. You belong to that community, the community of quiet endurers, the ones who do not make noise, but make depth, the ones who are not building for the cameras, but for the ages, the ones who will stand when the storm comes, because they built roots in the season when no one was watching. That is your people. You are not alone. You have never been alone. If this message reached you today, I do not believe that was an accident. I believe you found this because you needed to hear that your quiet endurance is seen, that it matters, that it is producing something worth the cost. And if that is true, if this was what you needed today, then there is more. Every week on this channel, we come back to this place, a place for the quiet ones, for the ones who are being built in the hidden season, for the ones who are carrying something that deserves more than a platitude, and who deserve to know that C.S. Lewis understood, that Scripture speaks to it, that God has not forgotten them. If that is the community you want to be part of, not for the numbers, not for the algorithm, but because every time a new message comes, you will know someone spent time in this space thinking about people like you, praying for the quiet endurers, writing for the ones who endure without applause. And if this message helps someone you love, someone else who is in a quiet season, share it with them. Not with a long explanation, just send it. Let God do the rest. I want to close with a declaration, not a list of things to do, not a challenge to perform, just a truth I want to leave inside you that you can carry back into the ordinary moments of your ordinary day. You are the quiet ones, the ones who chose faithfulness when no one was watching, the ones who endured without making it into a performance, the ones who cried privately and got up publicly, and no one knew what the getting up cost. You are the ones. God is building into pillars, not ornaments. Pillars, the ones who carry weight that others will eventually need to lean on. The ones who stand in the moments when standing is the only act of faith left. And I want to say this clearly, directly, without hesitation. The world is not ready for what is coming out of you. What God has been building in the quiet, in the hidden season, in the long nights, in the unwitnessed faithfulness, is something the world has not yet seen the full version of. You are still becoming, and what you are becoming is more than you have allowed yourself to imagine. The quiet ones, the faithful ones, the unshakable ones. That is who you are. As you close this today, I want to leave you with 3 things. Not a to-do list, not a challenge to rise to. 3 simple truths to carry with you. 1. You are seen completely, specifically by the one who counts every star and collected every tear. You are not invisible. You have never been invisible. 2. You are being built. The quiet endurance is not wasted time. It is construction time. And what God builds in the secret place is the most permanent thing He ever makes. 3. You are unshakable. Not someday, not after the breakthrough, not when the season finally ends. Now, in the middle of the quiet, in the middle of the endurance, in the middle of the building, you are already unshakable, because God does not wait until the construction is finished to call the structure sound. He calls it sound because He is the builder, and He does not build things that fall. Go in peace, chosen one. The quiet you have been living is holy ground, and what God is building in you will stand forever.